And welcome to the Redeye stream number 270. Tucker Carlson is in the news instead of reporting on the news. Interesting. Can you be held responsible for something you call in and say to a shock jock fucking a decade ago, MC? Isn't this shit getting fucking ridiculous?
It was ridiculous a long time ago. Come on, let's be honest. Now, granted, we haven't gotten as bad as the UK is. The UK is its own little special world, all right? But the reality is when people started acquiescing to the outrage mob, when they started, going around, when the left was going around getting people kicked out of their shows for what they said and trying to compare them with what they did, and there was no pushback, and people were like, okay. That's when it's turned into this freaking ridiculousness that you got. They weren't ever going to stop. The one thing that I don't think a lot of people understand about these guys on the left, these lunatics on the left aren't going to stop. There's no way to stop them. You will not stop them. You can't appeal to their humanity. You can't appeal to their common sense. You can't appeal to common decency. You can't use logic with them. Okay? They are immune to anything like that. They will not stop. They don't care who they hurt.
Well, no, and I totally agree, MC. I mean, if you can't even come to the terms to agree with me that after a baby is born, you shouldn't abort it, like the New York and Virginia laws said, just don't cut the fucking umbilical cord and you can still kill the fucking abort the baby. Okay, we can't even decide that after the baby's born it's alive, then we have nothing we can agree on. All right? I mean, it's beyond the pale at this point, right?
It was beyond the pale back when they didn't want to ban final trimester abortions, on-demand abortions. That should have been, that right there was a clear defining line if you really want to look at it. At 6 months, what you see on any kind of graph or any kind of sonogram or anything else, you will see a baby. All right, that you see a human being. You do not see a fetus. You see a human being.
Yeah, no, and not that I want to dive into the abortion debate again. I'm just saying if we can't come to terms to agree on after the baby is born, it's a living being, then we can't come to terms on anything. All right.
Like, what you see happening is, okay, they went after Tucker Carlson again. All right, they're going to sit up there and go in what you send into a shock jock. Like, I mean, people send stuff to shock jocks for the whole point of shock and amusement. None of it, it's all satirical, right? I mean, that's the whole purpose for doing that kind of stuff, is for making jokes and being wildly satirical. And if you're going to take offense to these things, and then take offense even better, not at the time that it was done, but how many years later, okay? Let's be perfectly honest. The biggest thing that they're offended by that I can tell, right, was his comment about Paris Hilton, being a whore, right? And, okay, he called a woman a whore. Did you see what she was doing during that time frame? Do you remember what she was doing? Do you remember the porno vid that she put out? Do you remember the other nonsense that she was doing? Do you remember how she was coming out of one of those studios around New York, all right, like Club 54 or whatever it was? I don't know if it was Club 54 or whatever it was. It was one of those popular clubs without her freaking panties on, right? So they could take pictures of her, all right, without panties and shit. And everyone was calling her a freaking whore at that point, okay? It was hardly something that was outrageous. Now, calling her the largest white woman, the white whore in history, might be a bit much, but I mean, he was making a joke. All right.
Well, is that the most edgy thing he said? I thought they were mainly going after the Warren Jacobs quote or whatever, Warren Jebs or whatnot. The bigamy guy. He ran the fundamentalist cult or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. I thought that was the more inflammatory aspect, where
he's still making a joke. I mean, whether you think it's in bad taste or not, and a lot of that stuff was in bad taste. But you're on the show, Bubba the Love Sponge. Okay, I don't know if you realize this, but you're not there for erudite and classy talk here at our learned, center here. I don't think you're going to see something along the lines of Masterpiece Theater coming from Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah, that's like going on Howard Stern and being like, hey, I want to talk about economics. Yeah, you're on the wrong show, buddy.
Well, you might get to talk about economics, but they're going to be talking about the economics of porn if you go on freaking Howard Stern's show. He's going to be wanting to delve into the porn industry and how much money they make or don't make, and how much the adult entertainers make and so forth. That's what he would be going with.
Well, no, but here's the thing. All right, so Tucker Carlson says at one point, there's a big difference between facilitating a marriage between a 17-year-old and a 27-year-old and yanking somebody from a bus stop and raping them. Yeah, there is a fucking difference.
Well, that fits into the obvious category, I mean, yeah. It's not a surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, right?
Yeah, no, and I mean, okay, this was a decade ago. Tucker Carlson, what was he doing a decade ago? Was he even in media at that point? I'm sure he was. I mean, you don't just randomly get a job for Fox News out of nowhere.
Well, I'm sure he was trying to break into several things. I have no idea what his actual job was or what his resume. I'm not a follower necessarily of Tucker Carlson. I see his stuff here and there. But the thing is they're acting outraged. The people who are acting outraged have done far, far worse. All right, Media Matters. It has done. The people in charge of Media Matters have done far worse, and yet they're acting as if, oh my God, let's get this. Let's be honest. It's just a matter of they don't want Tucker Carlson because he's made them look bad time and time and time again, and the fact that he's not apologetic about it. Okay, they want him banned. They want him removed. It is a form of censorship, and they've been successful at doing this to conservatives for so long because initially conservatives wouldn't push back. Well, now you're seeing it. Now you're finally seeing where it is. Now, there are people that were in charge of these things. I mean, let's be honest. They've been going after – if you think it's just him, these are the same people that constantly misquote and lie, outright lie, about things that are said on talk radio. All right, they use snippets taken out of context to go after Michael Savage, to go after Rush Limbaugh, to go after Sean Hannity, and they're never going to quit. The thing is they're never going to quit. It's about silencing these voices. It is about silencing conservatives or anybody that's against the left-wing ideology.
Well, no, and that's also why you have a lot of the rules you have in radio, because the left wing, they can't hang. All right, conservative talk radio is big. Left wing talk radio has never been big ever. They have to get public subsidies for NPR, right?
Yeah. Well, the reason for that is simple though, and that is there's a dearth of conservatives. Okay, there's not that many. All right. When you go to an outlet for conservative outlets, there's where are you going to find it? When it comes to television, well, everyone points Fox News. Fox News is mildly conservative. They're not hardcore conservatives. You see zero hardcore conservatives. To see hardcore leftism, you just have to turn on CNN or MSNBC. All right.
Even the conservatives like Judge Andrew Napolitano, I would consider him a conservative. He's also a libertarian, but he is a strict constitutionalist, which I would consider that a conservative viewpoint. He even got kicked off of Fox Business for a while. They brought him back, but I mean, Fox does waffle a bit. They kind of go back and forth. They aren't the hardcore.
Well, but the reason that they went after Napolitano is basically he made a statement that at the time people were saying, well, he didn't check his sources. Now, it turned out that his statement was 100% accurate and that he actually did have sources, but that was back when people were screaming about, oh, wait a minute, where did you get these sources? Where do you get these sources? Where's the journalistic ethics? But at the same time, they knew that was duplicitous because, let's be quite frank, there are no multiple sources that the leftists ever utilize. Let's be perfectly frank. The main source that they get their information from comes directly from people that are ranking in the DNC. That's how they come up with what's going on in the Trump administration. Well, we talked to a former Trump administration official. Really? Or did you talk to Adam Schiff? Or did you talk to Elijah Cummings? Or did you talk to one of those people? Right? Did you really talk to somebody in the administration? Did you just make that up? There's no way of knowing for sure. All right. But I tend to believe that many of these people, they were never in the Trump administration, that they're people that, well, I mean, if you really want to look at it, all right, some of these people, yeah, they were in the administration for about a day and a half before they tendered their resignation.
Well, no, and it's like right now, I have a source that says there is a gigantic hole in Antarctica where the penguins are working with the Nazis. Does that make it true? Does that make the hollow earth theory true just because I say I have a source? No, it doesn't.
Well, of course it doesn't. And then you end up with these people who are trying to, it's innuendo all the time. This latest thing for innuendo, like with Trump, was H.A. Goodman did a piece on it, right? Where the British Spectator, which I don't know anything about the British Spectator, right? They're claiming that they had a source. One of their people is saying they had a source who was saying that they're going to Mueller's going to recommend indictments on Trump or some of his family members, right? And then came back and said, well, Barr is preventing that from happening. William Barr is, according to the sources, preventing that from happening. Really? I call bullshit on that because you know as well as I do it was all bullshit.
Well, no, and MC, is the real issue the fact that Tucker Carlson's popular? Same with Sean Hannity. Is that what they're mad about?
Yes. They're effective, and they got larger audiences, so they become primary targets. If you're a conservative, you have wrongthink, all right? If you think differently than they do, and you have a broad audience, eventually, this is not a joke, okay? Now, I disagree with Sticks on a lot of things. All right. I've made no bones about the times when I've disagreed with him. But if Sticks keeps growing the way he is, when he hits 1 million people, he'll become a target. He will get on their radar and they will start attacking him in ways he hasn't seen before. Okay, I think.
Well, no, let's be perfectly frank, MC. There's a lot to attack Sticks on. Just take his occult points of view and run with them. That's all they need to do.
Well, I mean, they can try that. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that's going to change the viewership of Sticks, but it may start to limit his growth in a significant amount. They've already taken a couple of small shots at him. But he will get hit in ways that he's never seen before. And if you follow Sticks on Twitter, you can see where Sticks gets into tweet flame. He gets into flame wars with certain people, right? It wouldn't surprise me if he got kicked off of Twitter once he reaches 1 million people on YouTube. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Twitter comes back and says he was being savage with somebody and kick him off of Twitter for something that's more or less innocuous, and then they try to justify it by bringing up something from 5, 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago.
Well, no, and like we were talking about off air, man, I was a fucking idiot a decade ago, man. I was 24 years old. I gave a shit more about strippers and partying than anything else. Like, you can't take my fucking words 10 years ago as fucking who I am now. And you can't do that to Tucker Carlson either.
Well, I mean, people do change. I mean, their opinions grow, their perspectives increase over time. Just by being alive over time, your perspective on things is going to change. All right, and it's going to broaden to a larger extent. So, yeah, I mean, to hold people to that standard, you can ask them about it. All right. But what gets me is like, okay, well, let's go back 20 years. If you want to play that game, why aren't you guys talking about, 15 years ago, the comments that Bernie Sanders was making then? Why aren't you going back and taking a look at what Bernie Sanders was saying about all this crap? Right.
Well, no. And if you're the same man today that you were 10 years ago, why don't you go 10 years ago with President Trump? Oh, yeah, he was a Democrat out of New York. Oh, you don't want to do that, do you?
Well, that's exactly what they're trying to do. I mean, they're picking and choosing about who they are and what they're like. Now, Trump 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago probably wasn't a whole lot different than he is now, let's be perfectly frank. Right? His views haven't moderated all that much.
Do you think President Trump didn't move away from the Democratic Party? They moved away from him, right?
I think he's an opportunist, and he saw an opportunity to go join the Republican Party so that he could become president.
Fair point. Because I do remember hearing a quote from President Trump about 10 years ago, I think 10 or 15 years ago, where he said, well, if I was ever going to run for president, I'd just do it as a Republican. They're idiots. They'd vote for me. Flash forward. Huh. Interesting.
Well, I mean, his commentary at that point was what he was not thinking about actually running for president per se at that point, I don't think. I think what he was doing at that point was he was working his own shtick, right, in his own way.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think Trump's biggest problem in one regard was when he decided to finally run, right, is he wasn't an ideologue. Okay, and the fact is when you're not an ideologue, okay, you haven't gone into your theories of politics. You haven't looked at political theory. You haven't examined your belief system. All right, you just go along and say you know what you believe, and you don't analyze it. You don't think about it. You just move on going forward, right? As you just kind of drift along those lines. And because of that, all right, I don't think he was prepared to deal with people who truly are ideologues, all right, especially in D.C. To be honest, it's the same problem that President Bush had, all right. He wasn't an ideologue, right? His identity had nothing to do with politics from that deep a perspective of political analysis, okay. And as a result, he thought that, okay, the Republicans and the Democrats in D.C. are going to be just like the ones in Texas, so I don't have to worry about things. And it's an entire different animal in D.C. because ideologues are that. That is all you see in D.C.
Well, what's wrong necessarily with being an ideologue? Having a foundation of ideals that you keep going back to.
Oh, nothing. Absolutely nothing's wrong with it, except for the fact that when you are an ideologue, all right, I'm an ideologue. I mean, I've always claimed to be an ideologue when it comes to this kind of stuff. All right. The thing is that many people don't take you tend to take things seriously that other people are just kind of like they roll their eyes when you start to spout, oh, he's just one of those, like Woolshot does to me when I go off on the leftist, oh, pox on both houses. Well, she rolls her eyes. I mean, I have this picture of how she reacts as soon as I start talking about certain issues. All right. And they're amusing as hell, but because of that, all right, there's nothing wrong with being one, but at the same time, people in America especially, they don't like talking about politics. So ideologues are those over there. They're the people that are tolerated. Even on the left, it's the same thing.
Well, I kind of want to dive into that idea of people don't like talking about politics or religion and polite company, right? You know, there's that old Southern saying. But I don't think that's necessarily true anymore. Everybody is talking about politics. Everything is political right now.
Well, are you talking politics, or are you talking people attacking one another? I don't see people talking politics. You can go take a look at my Twitter and take a look at some of the stuff that you see, all right, from on there. You're not seeing people talk about issues. You see people basically going after ridiculous flame wars, all right? For example, you know, I'm not beating up, understand, I'm not trying to beat up Sylvain on this, all right? But Sylvain goes out of his way to do a snarky comment on James Wood, saying, you know, that the Arizona's going blue, and there's blue in Florida, there's blue in freaking Nevada, and all the places I want to move. Was trying to move out of California, trying to figure out a place to live, and he sends a snarky comment back, right? Perfectly fine to send a snarky comment. I'm not saying that he can't do that or anything else, but he wasn't addressing the issue. He didn't talk about the issue. He didn't even reference the issue. And the only reason that I'm bringing him up as an example, you can find there's plenty of examples on the right the same way, right? They're not talking about the issue. They don't want to talk about the issue.
MC, I agree with you, but the thing is, like, when you try to actually talk about the issue and you try to actually have a political discourse on something like Twitter, you end up getting fucking banned. Like, I was arguing back and forth with Prophet about gun control, and I was bringing up facts, figures, and logic. And then suddenly I got banned for fucking 72 hours. So you're not allowed to do that. All you really can do is make the snarky comment and walk away.
Well, I mean, obviously the people on the left are able to, you know, when most of the people on the left are Twitter users, you know, when they're dominated by I shouldn't say Twitter users, the leadership of Twitter is basically all leftists, and they're controlling the leftist content. They're the ones who are determining, you know, what's over the line. Well, what's over the line has nothing to do with what's technically said. It has to do with whether or not they agree with that person or not. And anybody they disagree with, they're already, you know, their fingers already hovering over the ban hammer, you know.
But I do seem to see more people being politically active. But then again, maybe that's because I'm now in my mid-30s and I'm just more like my eyes are open to it, maybe.
I think that there's a lot to be said about that. But I also think that rhetoric at this point is now very inflammatory. And so you can't, as much as people don't want you don't want to stick their fingers in their ears and go la 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 to try and avoid it. There is no avoiding it anymore, and they're not going to be able to.
But do you think they're going to actually succeed in taking out Tucker? It took them over a decade, but they finally got rid of Bill O'Reilly, right? I mean, he kind of got rid of himself, but it is what it is.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, if Tucker Carlson has done some freaking illegal horseshit, then yeah, they're going to be able to get rid of it. If Tucker Carlson hasn't done anything like that, though, then no, not anytime soon. At any rate, I seriously doubt they'll be able to get rid of Tucker.
Isn't he married as well? Like, I doubt he's hitting on.
He has kids. You know, he has children. So, I mean, he's married with children. So,
yeah, no, I really doubt he's hitting on his secretary and shit like Mr. O'Reilly was, right? Like, that's what they got him on, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, but once again, you got to understand something when you start dealing with the entertainment industry. That kind of behavior is ubiquitous in the freaking, you know, I mean, it's all around. It's standard behavior, all right, in the entertainment industry. And don't believe that the news industry, especially the television news, is anything but entertainment. They're in the same industry. They go to the same dressing rooms as the Hollywood stars and the people are doing this. They all talk to one another. They're part of a select group of people.
Do you think Megyn Kelly was being harassed at Fox?
I think that she feels like she was being harassed because she's one of those people who walks around with stiletto heels, and if you said hi to her and she thought it was in the wrong manner, she went off. I think she was an entitled bitch who thinks that anytime somebody says something to her in any way, shape, or form that she doesn't like, that, well, that's a form of sexual harassment. That's where I think she was.
Yeah, she does seem like a snooty fucking cunt to me.
Let's be honest. You know that there's people that did sit up there and try to ask her out. And every time somebody tried to ask her out, I'm sure that she thought of that as sexual harassment. Now she's totally destroyed her career. I know she didn't think that she would, that they're going to forgive her. She's never going to be forgiven. She's done. She will never get a major job now as a newscaster ever again.
But she doesn't need one. She got $20 million from Fox, and then she went over to ABC and got another $20 mil.
Okay, well, she went out to see, was it NBC, not it's ABC, but
yeah, fair enough. Sorry, my bad.
But she's basically done. She doesn't see herself that way. You got to remember, she sees herself as, I'm a reporter. I'm making a difference. I'm changing the world.
Is she a reporter, or is she just like
she believes she is?
Obama was, and you just read a telefucking prompter?
She believes she is. Trust me, she came from the journalism school.
She was a shit moderator at those debates.
Oh, yeah, of course she was. Of course she was. There's no doubt about that. Right? But then again, look at all the other shit moderators. Compare her to the CBS moderator from Mitt Romney's moderating days, right? Andrea Crawley? Was that what her name was?
I think so, yeah, that rings a bell. But I mean, I don't know. Fox News isn't this authoritarian right-wing fucking monstrosity that everybody thinks it is. I think it's actually rather centrist, to be honest.
To an extent. I mean, it does have heavy right-wing personalities. All right. Overall, it is more centrist than people gave it credit for, but that you'll never get people to understand that. And what's worse is there's other issues that are involved. Okay. My problem is when you start talking about Fox News is, yes, there is a corporate aspect of this. The problem that I have with people like Styx and also even the Hard Bastard is they look at it's all corporate, it's this and it's all corporate that, as if somehow, they're all clutching at pearls and they do these things. Well, when you scream corporation this and corporation that, what are you doing? You're clutching at pearls. All right. Not everything that's corporate, all right, is bad. And it doesn't mean that they're not putting out information. All right. Yes, you have to be aware that the information, all right, from where it's where it's coming from. You have to understand where it's coming from and what's behind some of this stuff. All right. That's very true. But the idea that they're beholden to the political corporate masters, well, that isn't always an accurate assessment of things. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, okay, yeah, when you scream at that though, and you belittle it just because, well, corporate this and corporate that, when you can't make an assessment, for example, with Fox News, let's be perfectly frank. Has Fox News screwed up? Yeah. Have they screwed up as badly as CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN have done? No, they're not even close. Okay.
Well, I don't even know anybody that watches ABC News anymore. I want to take a look at the chat real quick. We got the DJD show in there. What's up, man? Thank you for swinging by. You guys should go check out his channel. I've been watching him a little bit more often lately, thanks to Pete from Creepy Little Book. That's how I met him. Sherardi says, Mad Dodge, I have stiletto heels, and I'm not being sexually harassed when I wear them. Sherardi, that's because you're just in your kitchen. And if you're being sexually harassed, it's by your husband. So you're fine. I'm guessing you're not Megyn Kelly, and you're not going to Fox News headquarters every day. But it is what it is. All right, when you have people like O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, you do kind of get the idea that they are a right-wing news organization. But then again, those are just the talking heads. They're the opinion people. They're like me and you, MC, right?
Well,
all we're doing is saying our
let's
opinion.
examine something first of all. All right. Are you going to sit up there and try and tell me that that Bill O'Reilly was hardcore right wing?
I believe O'Reilly is conservative. I also think he's a little unhinged, but that's just my opinion.
I think O'Reilly is a moderate at best. Okay, he's not left wing. I would agree that he's not on the left.
Not his stance on the drug war. He is very conservative when it comes to marijuana remaining illegal.
A single issue doesn't define someone. Okay, it's not a single issue. It's not going to define you as to whether or not you're hardcore right or hardcore left. You will find just as many people, all right, that are hardcore leftists that think marijuana is the devil's weed. All right, people don't want to hear that, and it's hidden. Okay, it's hidden from people. Do you think Kamala Harris was prosecuting people because she thought marijuana, all right, wasn't a harmful drug? No, she fully believed it was a harmful drug when she was doing it. And her father exemplifies that. That's her father's belief as well. I don't believe that
I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think that's necessarily true. I've heard Judge Andrew Napolitano straight up talk about when he was a judge, and he believed that marijuana shouldn't be illegal, but he had to uphold the law. So
she was not a judge. She was a prosecutor.
I'm talking about Judge Andrew Napolitano, not her. I don't really know about her.
You mentioned, you know, some of this stuff. I mean, that doesn't make what I'm trying to point out is that Kamala Harris is not right wing, all right, and yet she was going down that path. Now she's not talking that way anymore, okay, but that's typical of leftists because leftists will never tell you what they believe, not if it's not popular. The first thing they do is they won't tell you what their plans are. They will try to hide, and they'll try to sit there and get in touch with you emotionally, all right, and touch your emotions when they sit up there and talk about issues.
Well, that's a standard tactic from them. Actually, MC, since you brought that up, is that the problem with my party, with libertarians, is we don't connect emotionally at all. We argue facts and numbers, especially when it comes to economics.
Bullshit. Well, economics perhaps, but the reality is that the vast majority of people that are part of the Libertarian Party are there because of marijuana. And they're not, and yeah, they'll use logic and they'll use numbers here and there. But
I'm not a single voter, MC, and for you to try and paint me that way kind of irritates.
I said the vast majority of the libertarians.
Yeah, but the Libertarian Party isn't a single issue party.
The Libertarian Party isn't a single issue party. No, I'm sorry, but the Libertarian Party is a single issue party, and it's about legalization of marijuana. You would see the Libertarian Party disappear overnight if you killed marijuana legalization throughout the United States. If you said, okay, from now on, it's no longer regulated, it's no longer used, the Libertarian Party would disappear overnight.
I disagree with you.
You can disagree all you want. Show me where you don't use a major push, where a major one of your candidates doesn't stand up and mention marijuana legalization. It is the primary driving force, and it's the primary collective force around which libertarians gather.
It's the primary force of Gary Johnson's campaign, and he's been the face of the Libertarian Party for far too long, in my opinion.
Okay, well, then you can't argue the point.
I can't argue it because he's not running this time around.
You're talking about it from your own personal perspective, not a broader-based perspective, though, MADDS. Come on.
No, libertarians argue about more than just legalization of drugs. There's also the prostitution issue. The prostitution should be legalized. There's also
prostitution can be decided by a state by state or a county by county and city by city basis, which is how it should be. If a city wants to ban prostitution, let them.
So you're perfectly fine with the laws in Nevada then?
Oh, really? Now, did you know that try to be a prostitute in Las Vegas and see what happens?
Yeah, within city limits, you're correct.
Okay.
But outside of city limits, and inside other cities, like my buddy lives in Elko. When I went to Elko, there's 4 different brothels in that town. And that's a city of like 15,000 people. That's it. And there's 4 different brothels in that town and 20 different casinos.
All right. Do you think that Elko can sit up there and support that kind of thing on its own, or do you think it's a tourist city?
I don't necessarily think it's a tourist city. It's more of a mining city. A lot of people work out in the silver mines and stuff, and they're based out of Elko. So it's more of a mining town.
Oh, okay. But you see my point. I mean, it's transient, and not in the negative sense, but it's transient. The population is transient. They always have more of a population than is actually really part of the city. Yeah, no. And the only reason I ever went there is, like I said, my best friend lives there, so I went over there and visited for 2 weeks. Well, you can go hunting there. I mean, that's a good hunting region in the winter time, in the fall time, actually. But regardless, I'm just trying to say that these things were supposed to be done at a local level. Okay, these are decisions done at a local level, and as long as it's done at a local level, I have no problem. And same thing with marijuana legalization. To be honest, if you want to do it at a local level, if the states want to do it, that's fine. My problem is the feds are doing it, and the feds are making a hash of it, and the federal government has too much power to try to legislate this kind of stuff.
How do you? So you're okay with New Mexico passing that law within the last week or so, where they have legalized as well?
You're a cunt.
Right? Isn't New Mexico right next to Arizona?
Yeah, New Mexico is right next to Arizona, and it's a very blue state.
Dodge, you're a cunt.
Yeah, love you too. What's up?
So really, what's up?
But that's where a lot of the problems for a lot of these things are. One of the things about the United States is what it was supposed to be created was that these different cultural differences, these regional cultural differences, were supposed to be able to be absorbed by the fact that they would be handled within the states generally. That really the only thing the federal government was supposed to be for was foreign policy and overall foreign policy and defense.
And securing the national border. Yeah.
Right. Well, defense, overall defense. That's really that's really all they should be involved in. The fact is that they've gotten themselves expanded in all these other areas is a major problem, because now the states that want to have, for example, I don't want to see legalization of marijuana. Okay, well, they may or may not be able to do it. So if a state wants to say, I want to legalize marijuana, but the federal government says that it isn't, guess what? The federal government still overrides. And I keep pointing this out to people. You've given the federal government this kind of power. I've disagreed with a lot of the things that come down the line where how this stuff goes. But the biggest problem is that the federal government is too large. Today, I sit up there and try to explain to people. I said, they talk about the 1%, right? And they said that the 1% control 40% of the GDP in this country, and the GDP is approximately $54 trillion, right? So look, this was in your, I think it was in your Discord where this video was put out. And I said, okay, let's examine that for a moment. Now, if you're saying that the 1% control 40%, all right, what you're saying is that 1%, which is 3 million people in the United States, right, or 3,300,000 or 200,000, depending upon what you consider the population, controls 40% of the GDP, right? That's approximately 40% of the GDP. With that is approximately 30 million, or 30.
Yeah, but why is that an
$30 trillion?
If you look at the United States, back in the 1800s, 60% of the wealth was based in the southern economy. 60% of the wealth of the nation. That's way less than the 1% at that point, right? Well, I mean, it's getting better. That should be pointed out.
Is it or isn't it? The problem with that is, it's like, okay, this is what you came up with your statistic. Well, 28% of all land in the United States is owned by the federal government. Okay, so what portion of that is that part of the GDP? Okay, the government every year takes approximately $3.7 trillion in revenue through fines and tariffs and the big one, taxes. Okay, where does that fit in the GDP? All right, how is that assessed as part of the GDP? This is not an insignificant part when you start examining this and you really start taking a look at it. All right, this 1%, when you take a look at what the federal government has in comparison, how does that apply to the GDP? How does that apply to this 54 trillion? How is that divvied up? Because there's no freaking way, and this is what I've been trying to explain to people. There's no way that assessment of the 1% is accurate in any reasonable measure. Now, the largest or the wealthiest person in the United States has been assessed to be Jeff Bezos, right? Now, and he has approximately $130 billion, right? Approximately. Something like that, or 180.
So he finally passed up Bill Gates.
Oh, yeah, no, he blew by Bill Gates a long time ago. All right, but the thing is first of all, that wealth, all right, that they're talking about isn't just wealth in the United States anymore. So what part of that is that part of the GDP? But this is what I'm trying to say. When you start calculating this, when these people start doing their calculations, I want to see how they arrive at these numbers. Because they're obviously playing games with people. They're not telling you what the federal government has and the responsibility the federal government has in those kinds of things. Okay, so you have $130 billion. That's what your worth is, right? Now this is through an international company. Amazon has assets around the world. It's not just in the United States. Okay. Well, then compare that to the 3.7 trillion that is just in the United States and just from the federal government. And this is every single year that the revenue of the federal government has. Well, wait a minute here. Are we undertaxed, or are we just overspending? Especially when you find out that we're spending approximately 4.5 trillion freaking dollars every year.
Well, no, and when I say the phrase taxation is theft, you guys laugh at me. What I mean by taxation is theft is I'm not talking about corporate taxes. I'm not talking about import taxes. I am talking about the federal income tax.
It doesn't matter.
The sweat on your brow should not be taxed, sir.
Whether you like it or not, the sweat of your brow is going to be taxed because that's what everyone wants. Okay, I'm not justifying anything or not justifying it, right? You're going to get that revenue somewhere. The problem is that nobody wants to take a look at this stuff and hold these people accountable. You got Bernie Sanders. He was promising everybody the world. Not one reporter has said, okay, the current deficit is approximately 20% of the budget. Okay. So in order to fix the U.S. deficit, you would have to raise taxes or raise revenue, all right, which means raise taxes by 20% on all the people that are currently paying taxes.
No, you can get what Bernie Sanders wants at the expense of our military budget, which is probably what he wants to do.
I hate to tell you this, but you could slash off the entire military budget completely off the books, and you're still running a deficit.
With Bernie Sanders' plan, I'm not disagreeing.
Today, if you took out all of the military's, all of the DOD's budget and slashed it off the books, you would still be running a deficit today.
Well, then there's no real way to fix it overnight then.
Then you have to fix it by cutting programs. And that's what nobody wants to do. And nobody wants to talk about it. No, not you libertarians, not anybody, about where we actually are.
That's because MC is the third rail. I mean, the real issue is the Social Security program, and nobody wants to face that because it is the literal third rail. You touch it and you die.
It is a problem. It is part of the problem. I'm not going to lie to you. All right, but it is not where most of the waste is. All right, the vast majority of the waste is in all these other.
MC, they spent our money. I am 34 years old. I will never see Social Security.
Okay.
Ever.
What are you complaining about to me for? I've been paying for Social Security far longer than you have.
You'll see it. You'll get it when you turn 60.
What do you mean I'll get it? You think they're gonna that program isn't gonna be bankrupt by the time I freaking retire? You think? But let me tell you something right now. Right now, I'm 55 years old. Theoretically, at 68, I could retire. I guarantee you, my retirement age will be somewhere around 72 or 73 before they even try to allow me to have access to Social Security.
I thought it was 65 when you could get.
It's already been jerked up to 68, dude. What are you talking about? It used to be 63, and then it became 65, and then it became 67. It's now, I believe, 68.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right. Yeah, I need to look into that a little bit more.
Now, part of that's because people are living longer. I mean, that's a portion of it. But the biggest thing is all these other programs have been going up at much faster rates. All right, Medicare and Medicaid, which are not, it's not Social Security, are been growing by leaps and bounds every single year. And every time they talk about lowering, every time you hear,
we have socialized medicine. It's Medicare, Medicaid, Oregon Health Plan, California Health Plan. If you're poor, you can get a doctor in this fucking country. We don't need Obamacare. Never did.
I'm not gonna argue with you, but the reality is that that's not good enough for them, is it? Because it's not about helping people. It never was. The entire agenda has never been about helping people, but that's what they talk about, even to this day. Well, socialized healthcare, socialized healthcare. We hear about how great it is in Europe. Yeah, and I also noticed that Europe doesn't freaking take care of its own defense, that they leave it up to the United States, which is one of the reasons why I'm all for pulling freaking our assets from around the world and telling all these freaking countries to go pound sand. To go tell the freaking the Danes, and the Dutch and the Germans, right, that they can go pound sand, that we're not going to support these things. We are over 25%. The U.S. alone is over 25% of the UN's budget. Well, wait a minute. What's China's? What's their cost? They're not even in the top 10. Why? Why aren't they funding all these things? If they're our next economy, they should be at least, since we're 25, they should be at least 20, right? Where are the Russians? All right. They've been around for freaking years. All right. Where's the rest of the EU and the supplies and stuff? It isn't equitable. And as far as I'm concerned, we need to pull out of all these organizations because all they have been is a way to take American money and redistribute it around the world with the consequence of, well, we still hate the United States. Well, then screw you.
Yeah, no, let's be perfectly frank. The only ones paying their fucking way as well as us is the British. So mad props to our British friends because they're the only ones fucking doing their part.
Here, ain't Jack. China is actually broke. The banking system is a scam and a lie. To a large extent, they were doing what the Japanese did, all right, when they had their banking crash, right?
Well, no, let's be perfectly frank. When it comes to the Chinese, they're building entire ghost cities just to keep their people employed. All right, they are working within a false dichotomy, and they're creating their own bubble.
Hi, Atema. The link's in the link is in the MADDS chat, so I'm sure he'd more than welcome if you wanted to come in and hear a different point of view instead of listening to me kibitz all day.
Yes, come rant better than him. You do it better anyway.
But no, I mean. We have been pulling the freight for the rest of the world for too damn long. And it's time that the rest of the world sits up there and starts pulling their, as Bernie would say, the fair share. It's time they start doing that. Now, Bernie won't do that. I can guarantee you Bernie will not reduce anything he says he's going to reduce.
No, that's a great segue. There's something else I wanted to talk about. Biden is going to throw his hat in the ring. Do you think Biden will take out Sanders? I don't think any of them are going to beat President Trump, but you know, it is what it is.
No, I don't. Unless the only chance that they have would be that Biden would have. Okay, would be if the leftists chew each other up in the delegate count, okay, to the point where they prevent Bernie Sanders from winning it on the first ballot.
They don't want Bernie. They didn't want him before. They actually changed the rules so he can't run as a Democrat, right?
Well, he's running as a Democrat because he never resigned his Democrat credentials in his home state.
Oh, that's sneaky fucking. Never mind. I was going to say something I shouldn't. I'll stop.
Yes. So technically, I mean, he could the other people fight it? Let's be honest. Who's going to fight it? Who's going to fight Bernie Sanders running as a Democrat? All right. Right now, if they attempted to fight it, they whoever it is that sits there and sets the lawsuit against him, okay, would instantly be looked upon as the pariah trying to steal the votes away from Bernie again and trying to screw Bernie again. That's what they would all say, and that's what they would all point to.
Is Hillary gonna stay in her coffin, or is she gonna run again?
I don't think she's gonna run. I don't think she can. She's got other worries right now, so I don't think she's even.
I don't think she would live through it again.
Yeah, she's not. The woman's not well. Let's be perfectly frank. You know that the woman's not well, and she's getting older, and it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get better for her.
Do you think she had a seizure?
Oh yeah, I definitely think she had a seizure. I think she had a stroke.
That's what it looked like. And my little sister had tuberous sclerosis. She died from it, and she had seizures. That's what it looked like when Hillary's head started jerking. That looked like a seizure, dude.
Yeah, I think she's had a stroke. I think they've been hiding it from the American people that she's had a stroke. I think her personality has been affected by it.
Is that why she became older? Like, didn't Hillary wig the fuck out when Trump won? Like, she threw shit at people and just wigged the fuck out, right?
Oh yeah,
that's what the rumor is.
How you been, Tema? Haven't talked to you in a grip.
Fucking yeah, I know, right, dude? It's I got a computer that works, and I think my microphone is on. I have to assume the boxes is telling me so. So I've just been busy dealing with my fucking children.
Well, but no, we were bullshitting about Tucker Carlson, and we kind of have devolved into Democratic politics. So,
well, hey, isn't Tucker just fucking intelligent and brilliant, man?
Oh, I'd love that guy. Like, I'm serious. He's my spirit animal.
Oh, you caught me saying something naughty. Poor baby. You want to know what I actually have to say? Come listen to what I have to say. If you want to rebut it, let's rebut it. You want to bitch about me being a shock jock 10 years ago? Fuck off. I love it. I love it. It's brilliant. It's what everybody should do when it comes to the left and their outrage. We're going to go after his advertisers. The last time they went after his advertisers, how'd that work out for him? They're never going to get him. Not like that. They're going to have to wait for him to do it to himself.
Well, right, and that's the difference. That's the difference that I was telling MADDS between Bill O'Reilly and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly's an asshole. No, it's true. Bill O'Reilly's an actual asshole, like IRL. He is a prick to everybody he comes across, especially if you have a pair of tits. Even now, it's not like he's going to change that behavior. No,
exactly. I mean, but he comes from from that world where.
Yeah. Well, no, this is all you need to know about Bill O'Reilly, all right? Judge Andrew Napolitano was telling a story about O'Reilly. They went out to the Yankees game, right? Or it might have been a Mets game or whatever. But they're in the limo on the way from the game. Instead of listening to the end of the game, Bill O'Reilly was listening to his own fucking radio show.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me.
Dude, all right?
Oh, God. Oh. How did Rush Limbaugh stand hanging out with that guy for so long?
I think that he had a partnership with him in the New York radio studio. I think that's where he had a conversation, got into a conversation with O'Reilly. I think that's also the same place where he basically met Sean Hannity. Right.
Oh.
That's supposition on my part, though.
No,
You're talking about Rush meeting Sean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Rush met Sean through Savage, Michael Savage. Michael Savage was the one that found Sean Hannity when Sean Hannity was doing a radio show about the time Carl was doing a radio show in Santa Barbara. They were both doing news shows, just different times of day on the same station.
If
And that's
somebody,
where Sean Hannity started. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if somebody needs to be done away with right now, it's Alyssa Milano.
Oh,
She's trans. She's a gay man. She's a lesbian. She's a person of color.
The tweet she put out was just, I mean,
she's everything.
Because I just love everybody. Watch me sit in my proper full lotus and go,
Well, this is, to be honest, she's the perfect leftist. She engages in identity politics, and yet in her own mind claims all those identities.
Oh yeah, I know. But it was so hilarious because she's the dumbass in the group, because like everybody else is sitting there going, oh my God, did you hear about the anti-Semites? Did you hear? There's some like anti-Semitic people, and she's these are anti-Semites, guys. Did you know these guys are anti-Semitic? She's just a dolt, dude, and she's just hung herself. It's beautiful.
Well, she did. You got to give her credit for standing up to the Women's March when she really started realizing just how anti-Semitic Linda Saussure and the rest of them that were in charge of the Women's March, right? Who they actually are, and that includes.
I do agree with Aunt Jack. When she was younger, she had a nice set of tits.
Okay.
Both before and after she purchased them. I always thought she was pretty when she was younger. I don't know what she was always freaking out about, but that's like Rose McGowan. My God, you were gorgeous till you got plastic surgery. Now you just look like a Cupid doll gone wrong.
Agreed.
I need to join a bowling league or a fleshlight or something, MC. William Stenchover. I was part of a bowling league at one time in my life.
Is this the part where I come in and say I was I placed third in the state championships when I was like 9?
Well, congratulations.
My grandparents were professional bowlers.
Were they?
Yeah. Yep. Both were on television.
Back in the days when it was on like Saturday, right after cartoons, the bowling league would come on.
No, like when it was a big deal, and they had prime time hours, like late 60s, early 70s.
When MC bowls, he has the bumpers up. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, you know what?
Think so, man, Dodge? Okay. That's probably true nowadays. I haven't gone bowling in 10 years.
I could still bowl even with all my nerve damage.
Well, I don't need the bumpers. I think I can do pretty credible now. So, but regardless, that's amusing.
Yeah, no, I had to. But no, Tucker Carlson needs savage mode on Twitter. Joe Pesci mode all the way for good old Tucker.
Fuck yeah.
They're going to have to do something like that, all right? Because the ban hammer is coming.
No, not after that whole little debacle that Twitter had on Joe Rogan's podcast. You're going to see what they're calling redemption arcs, and you are going to see them terrified to ban anybody.
Well, what I was referring to is the ban hammers are coming down like what's going on in, I think it's Florida right now, where they're saying if you're going to have Twitter, you can't ban people for speech.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Batman!
Hi, Batman! I missed you!
Oh, Mad.
The English component has arrived, or the British rather. The British component has arrived.
I'm English. Get it right, woman.
Now, ooh, Oh, we're just going to sit up here talking about that? Why don't you tell that to your sheep, Batman?
Beg pardon? That's Welsh, you idiot. That's Welsh, Australian, or New Zealander. Get it right.
You're all the same. We all know. It's all the same genetics.
Yeah, you can talk. You've got them as well.
I believe that my stock came from Portugal and actually Germany.
Oh, all right. So it's goats for you, is it?
You know,
We'll go on with some awesome reposts.
I told you that Temma was worried about you, Batman.
yeah,
Temma told me as well.
yeah. I'm happy to see he's okay.
All right. So far, still good.
Yeah.
He's doing well. So why don't you give us the latest on Tommy Robinson, since we're talking about banning people for speech?
I haven't heard much recently, actually, apart from the last bit that we all know about.
Well, Batman, they're dragging him back to court, right?
They're putting him on trial again, is what we heard yesterday, I thought. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, don't quote me on this, but I think for the same thing. It's ridiculous.
How do you guys not have anti-double jeopardy laws, or like, do you have like a cap on how many times somebody can be tried for the same crime?
No, if there's new evidence comes to light, you can't be tried for the same crime.
Fuck me, how many times?
As many times as new evidence comes to light.
That's bullshit.
Okay, so
hold on. When you think about it, if you say you had killed Temma, Mad, right? And you get tried for it, then found innocent, right? New evidence comes to light. And you get tried again, but found innocent. 3 or 4 times this happens.
No, that's not. That's not the way it works, though. All right, so let's say somehow Emma's husband doesn't murder me. All right,
hold on, Matt. I was putting you in a premise where you actually killed her, but you got found innocent 3 or 4 times, even though new evidence kept coming to light. But eventually, so yeah, it's a funny thing. Yes, I agree with the American way, but yes, I agree with the British way as well. There should be some kind of middle ground between the two.
Yeah, like you gotta have a cap, because like, do you guys have like a hard definition of what evidence is at least?
Yeah.
Okay, like so you have
to anyway. I think nowadays the hard definition of what evidence is whatever a woman or somebody of a certain religious persuasion says.
So that's what I'm kind of wondering. So like, how do they do this, man? This is fucking crazy. Yeah,
but here's the thing, though, Batman. Going off your premise. All right, so I kill Temma, and somehow her husband doesn't murder me. I survive it. Okay, we'll just grant that. And then I'm found innocent.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't try me again in criminal court. But what you can do is you can sue me like they did OJ, and you can take my Heisman Trophy. Not that I have one, but you get.
No,
what
of course
saying.
not, because you're a Dodgers fan.
Two different sports, Batman. You're a foreigner. I'll let it go. But damn it, Batman.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to bring up the fact that all the trophies in the Dodgers cabinet are participation ones.
Well, you know, back before they left LA the first time in the 80s, they weren't a bad baseball team. In fact, they were a great baseball team.
Joking apart, when they were before, like you said, before they left LA the first time, they were a very good team.
Yeah,
probably could have changed managers so many times.
But you know what, dude? They've won the National League the last 2 years in a row. They're not a bad team, you cunt.
Yeah, they just choke when it comes to playoffs. So they've turned into the Cardinals, apparently.
Temma.
They're a bit like.
Oh no, screw you! Because I grew up going to Dodgers games with my dad. So fuck you.
Like,
no, sir. I could talk to shit because I sat through the fucking games. In fact, they're the only live games I ever went to for baseball.
Oh, well,
flying
the
flying
like up here, we take the kids to the Emeralds games. But yeah, when it comes to MLB, Chavez Ravine's the only stadium I've ever been to. I've never been up Mariners Stadium or anything.
It's the only live. So I could talk some shit. I put in the time. I sat on those.
All right, fair enough. I'll allow you to talk shit. We can talk shit to each other about the Dodgers. But Batman, you shut your whore mouth.
No, I used to watch baseball when it was on Channel 4. I watched the Dodgers as well. Yeah, that's why I know what I'm on about. Apparently, because like you say, they keep choking with the playoffs. They've got a new nickname. Apparently, the Cinderellas, because they keep running away. Because they keep running away from the ball.
I knew where it was going as soon as he said the Cinderellas, because we used to call the 49ers the Cinderellas for the same reason.
Hey, God damn, do you like hate every fucking team I like, Gemma? God damn it.
It's instinctive.
Oh my
You know
God.
what, dude? The only thing that could be worse than being a 49ers fan to me is if you were a Raiders fan. I would have to poke at you more.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a Raiders fan. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I was expecting Matt to leave the conversation.
That's the only stadium you need to carry a gun at. You're gonna get fucking robbed right there in the stadium.
Well, you don't have enough felonies to be a Raiders fan, right? You have to have at least 3. Isn't that the new rule?
Oh, is that the Jokeland Raiders?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, the Jokeland Raiders. Yeah.
yeah. The Raiders fan club is based out of San Quentin.
San Quentin and Wasco. Yeah.
And Sing Sing.
No, Sing Sing is in New York. You got to stick with the ones that are in Cali.
Yeah, but let's face it, they're more likely to have fans on the East Coast because nobody will know what they're like.
Well, no, that's not true.
Isn't
No,
that-
because if you live in New York City and you're not a Yankees fan, you may get beat, like physically assaulted.
Yeah.
Like you guys, do you think Manchester or Mancunians are crazy about their football? You haven't seen anything till you see New Yorkers about their baseball.
Oh,
They still call the Dodger fans a bunch of bums, for God's sake. That joke ended in the 50s.
You haven't seen anything unless you've seen diehard football fans. I've known families split up because of football, like marriages.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that sounds like Texas in
Yeah.
the Texas and the high school rivalries. That's the college and high school football rivalries out there. Oh boy.
Yep.
Sorry, Matt. I thought it.
Well, no. I was just going to make a soccer joke.
You know, the horrible thing is getting back onto the seriousness. The American legal system is based on British common law as well, which
Partially.
makes what's happening over here even more of a joke.
Well, it's partially based on English King's Bench law. It's also an amalgamation of the French revisionist law. I can't remember the name of it right now, and Danish law.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think British common law is probably based a bit on Dane law as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But I know that we have a whole bunch of like French influence in our laws too. That's why Louisiana has a different legal system that kind of coincides and works with the federal legal system, but it doesn't operate the same way. And I can't remember the fucking name of the legal system right now.
This would explain why most American circuit judges are gay.
Yes. It also explains why they drink the wrong things excessively.
Yep. And I'm calling the American judges gay, where our judges wear wigs.
Some of ours actually still do. It depends on what state you're in.
Yeah, the wigs are. It's a traditional thing going back to the Regency period.
But you know what? It still isn't Korean politics, which is probably the most fascinating thing I've ever seen on TV because they throw shoes at each other regularly, apparently.
Okay.
I want to know what kind of legal system gives you the ability to throw shoes at each other when you don't agree, because that is entertainment.
Have you seen Russian politics? Like, they'll just start throwing blows.
Oh, I know.
I'm afraid I have the majority in the house, and I have the Glock.
Maybe Ain't Jack can answer. Ain't Jack, are you from Korea? Is it Korea? I've seen the Korean politics videos. Is that a common thing? Because I see quite a bit of it on YouTube. It's they say it's Korean, so I'm assuming it's Korean. There's no sound, but
Speaking of throwing shoes, say what you want about W, but man, could he dodge a shoe?
right? Fair.
Fuck! Speaking of shoes, I can't find my other one.
What the fuck? Sherardi's walking around just hopping on one leg.
Hi, Sherardi, you're looking particularly lovely tonight.
What? No. Whoa, you're talking about my...
Yeah, it's an improvement.
Thank you.
This is for not laughing at the Daleks.
Batman's talking about the secret cameras he put up in your house, but you know.
Yes, I am.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and talking about secret cameras, Matt, don't you pull up your trousers?
Hey, fuck you. All right, there. No, I'm kidding.
There we go. I found it.
Okay, so you know what? I think politics in Korea are probably far more interesting and entertaining than politics in America. According to 8Jack, he says yes, they do throw shoes, and sometimes there's actual regular fist fights, and sometimes the fist fights end up in the streets, and then they all go down to the bar and drink together. Asia met Ireland and made a country, guys.
It is an interesting one. I forget which. It was one of the smaller city-states in Greece, but they had elections, right? Yeah, the Democrats. Like in Athens. But in order to become the ruler of the city, after you'd won the election, you also had to pass rigorous tests, both physical and mental, to prove your worth. Yeah, that you actually were capable of leading.
You know what I want to bring
Should
back?
do that in modern politics.
No, what I want to bring back from Athens was the whole idea where we could vote to exile somebody. Because there's quite a few people that I wouldn't mind seeing leave the United States. Rosie O'Donnell, for one.
DOC, anybody who doesn't like the Dodgers, which is probably most of the country.
Hey, nice. Then I'll have plenty of leg room.
There'll be you, an old man, and his dog left.
Why? What did I do to you, Batman? Did I piss in your Cheerios and I didn't know about it?
No. You want to know the honest reason? You take it so well.
But yeah, no, Tema. First off, we're not having any snow when I was snowed in and like gonna die, and you had zero snow. Fuck you and the horse you rode in.
No, yeah, whatever. Yeah, you didn't have to listen to my kids bitch for 4 days about how everybody in the state got snow but us. Okay? 4 fucking days of whining. And I'm like, what do you guys want me to do? Move the apartment? Are you serious? So, like, it's okay. Whatever. You big boobs. Yeah, no. And you would have thought there was fucking snow here. Everybody was panicking like there was. It wasn't even fucking ice on the roads, man.
That's what made me mad, Tema. Like, my wife goes into town, right, to get firewood and fucking water and food and shit. And there's nothing on the store shelf. Like, these people in fucking town are flipping out like it's Hurricane Katrina. Like, bitch, please. You have a fucking dust of snow like MC's fucking backyard. I got feet, motherfucker. I got trees falling like in my neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you.
Yeah. And I'm like, really? And it's like, and like, we went to go get a goddamn propane heater. Like, the kind you screw onto the top of a tank, so we could go work outside in the garage and stuff. We went to go get one. Apparently, somewhere in January, the entire like Home Depot network in the greater Portland area ran out of the heaters that cost less than $100. And there's no such thing as reordering stock, apparently.
Yeah, no, Tema, we couldn't even find an oil lantern for God's sake.
And nobody reordered anything. They didn't restock anything from the first time they did this back in fucking January, and they had the big panic. The shelves were still fucking empty from then. So when everybody actually needed the shit, everybody's retarded in the greater Oregon state when it comes. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Oregon, Mad. Does nobody here know how to fucking order shit? Is an inventory list like in fucking Chinese? What?
You are in a blue state. I
grew up in California, Batman.
Yeah, they probably think that the stuff magically appears on the shelves.
But I grew up in California, and you didn't have to deal with this. Somebody knew how to say, okay, I'll order that for you, no problem.
You didn't grow up in California. You've got common sense.
I did grow up in California, I promise. I was even born in the summer on the beach, so what?
But no,
which
that's
summer? Just the summer or the summer of love?
What's seriously? No, dude.
Seriously?
I want to know what the fuck is wrong with Oregonians, God damn it. How the fuck do you guys not know how to order shit that you need? How is supply and demand something that escapes people that know how to cut down trees and make it look like art? Seriously.
Well, no, and I want to know
I
why
love
all the
hearing
people
Terror
down
on
in
it.
the valley. All the people in the valley were wigging the fuck out. It wasn't even an ice storm in the valley.
There wasn't. We didn't even have we had like a half an inch of snow and it stuck for like 6 hours. That was it.
Wait.
And I'm like, really, guys?
I've said this before. The people who actually made it to Oregon are the idiots, because all the intelligent ones died on the Oregon Trail.
Fucking no, dude. I'm like, how the fuck does supply and demand elude you? It's not like Oregon doesn't have like a repeatedly cold season annually, right? Like annually it becomes cold. So wouldn't you know that annually people are going to need things that they ask for when it's cold?
Yeah, no, it's just insanity. Because like, yeah, the Cascades got a shitload of snow. You know, Highway 58 was shut down. Over 200 trees fell. You couldn't get in or out of that bitch. I live on 126. We didn't. The highway didn't shut down completely, but our power was gone for a week and a half.
That's awesome.
I mean,
That's not good.
yeah, no. You get past 4 days and all your food's fucking rotten. You know, like you're fucked. I was telling the kids about the Donner Party. All right, just getting them prepared.
But that's when that's why you buy in stuff like freeze dried stuff. You know, like stuff. Yeah, they just had water stuff.
Oh no, my
like
wife got into an argument, right? Because like months ago, I had 90-day food supply, you know, in like my Amazon cart. She's like, "What do we need this shit for?" And we never bought it. And then, you know, a week and a half, I'm like, yeah, you wish you had that shit, don't you? Don't listen to me. I'm just a dumb man.
Okay, I won't.
And we appear to have lost MC.
Yeah, he has to go cure cancer or something.
Or he was in for a serious conversation, then I turned up.
But no, the shit's funny though. Like, yeah, no one listens to me at all until we're starving to death and suddenly you want some food.
Yes, you are the living embodiment of "I told you so."
Well, why? I'm curious why you didn't use the snow to keep your food good.
That's a good question.
Okay, so we have a stand-up freezer that was full of meat. A lot of it went bad. Other than that, though, yeah, we were storing our food outside.
Okay. I was gonna say, Mad.
Yeah, because a lot of houses, like in places like Oregon, they've got meat lockers outside where in heavy snows they put meat.
Oh yeah, you'll find those in like Minnesota and Wisconsin and Montana and Alaska.
But not Oregon.
No, it doesn't get cold enough for most of Oregon. You don't get. It's like Idaho will get more extreme cold than Oregon will because Oregon's closer to the coast.
That makes sense.
Oh no, and that's one thing that made me mad. My wife bugs out with the twins and leaves me with the older kids, and she goes to the coast where they still have power. Yeah, I was happy about that. Like, you know.
So why didn't all of you go to the coast?
There wasn't enough room in the car.
Why didn't you draw lots?
We were saving that for when we had to choose a kid to eat.
Why didn't you make trips?
Yeah. Because his wife.
Okay, all my mother-in-law has is this little fucking Camaro that I had to shove through the snow to get on the road to begin with.
Oh,
so
they had to plow.
Get to come back up. Yeah.
Okay, so it was the plowing. I was gonna go, dude. Like, sorry, I'm just asking, not trying to be an asshole. I'm just trying to figure out the situation, dude. Sorry. Hurry for information, and I'm gonna poke at you, Mad, because I have to. I haven't seen you in a minute, so you know.
Oh, and my wife's like, and you forget, I sent you fucking firewood too. Yes, she did send firewood. You know, why she was watching TV and eating bonbons, and I was starving to death. But thank you for the firewood.
Why didn't she send you some ramen?
Well, she at least sent beer. That was nice of her.
Yeah, but
Oh, you got beer. How nice.
Yeah, no, she's still back there yelling. I could have just said "fuck you" and waited.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true.
What you should have done is find out when she's coming back, and then you and the kids that you've got, go and hide somewhere and just leave the doors open and make it look like, you crawled out in the snow and died.
Oh, I just thought of something that should make everybody giggle. I remember reading on the news today. Nancy Pelosi said that it's a waste of time to impeach Trump. It's too divisive.
Really?
Wow. Who'd have thought that?
It's too divisive, boys and girls.
Ew, get away from me.
No.
No.
Why are you saying ew?
Get away from me. You're touching me. Ew, 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 ew.
They're your children. They're allowed.
Why can't you?
Ew.
That's what we want to do. We want to pin Sharati down,
I
pump
hear
her
your
with
friends,
relaxing,
Mom. I
so she
hear
can't
them.
move, and then
It's
get all the
Batman.
neighborhood
Yeah,
kids to
that
touch
was
her.
the one that said "Shrotty, Shrotty," and when you were having a seizure. Then I told them that you were a good husband.
Are the kids making fun of her? Is that what's going on right now?
I think so. What the hell was that?
That was my daughter.
Your daughter made that noise?
Yes.
Did she
Yeah.
swallow a squeaker?
Yes. She always sounds like that.
That was awesome.
Jesus
Oh my
Christ.
God, are they murdering each other? Like, holy-
Oh, I heard my name shouted or screamed.
And a mega something.
Yeah.
This is why I say children are almost as evil as women. Almost.
Tell
Oh,
her
you're just mad because you're gullible.
I hate Batman.
Sharati,
I don't
Sharati.
hate Batman.
Sharati, tell her I hide under her bed at night.
Batman says he hides under your bed at night.
Ow.
Fuck, go away.
Right?
Go away. Yeah.
No, I understand the sentiment. That's the 87,466 fucking screech she's had to deal with today.
No, or you
Yeah.
would know what our faces look like.
Just get the hell away from me. And Tema does know what you guys look like.
And she sent me the photos.
You look like evil little munchkins.
Yes.
Right, Sharati,
Less troublesome than mine.
Sharati, tell them that Tema sent me their photos and I put them on the mantelpiece to keep the kids away from the fire.
Ha ha ha. Tema knows what you look like, and she sent Batman the photos.
No!
Uh-oh.
I thought you said that she was the only one that you could trust.
Tim in the chat says, stop touching me. I kill you.
Yeah.
I kill you. I kill you.
So apparently one of our idiot politicians
Get away from me.
blaming the British government for that Shamima Berman's baby boy dying. When
Whose baby boy died?
that Shamima Bergman, the ISIS bride.
ISIS bride?
Yeah.
Wow. And her baby died?
Yep.
I wonder why. Could it have been the years of malnutrition she was living under, or could it be she's too stupid to have kids? Which one?
Let's take. I'll take for $100 both.
Okay. Okay, so I'm supposed to have Simpy for her. Why?
I don't have some.
Because of women's. Come on. You gotta side with any woman ever, right? Because you're a woman.
To be perfectly honest, I think anybody who
Oh,
leaves
that's
the country to fight for a terrorist organization, don't care what race they are, don't care what the background is, they go out and fight for a foreign organization. They should, as soon as they leave the country, have their citizenship revoked.
Well, so if I go join the IRA, does that make me Irish? That'll be great.
No, it doesn't. It makes you an idiot.
Yeah. But
Yeah, shut your whore mouth, Batman.
it makes you a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't talk to me like that. You're a Dodgers fan.
he's just gonna keep hammering that one.
Yep.
Oh, he won't give it up. It's almost baseball season, though, so it's fine. It's good enough.
And they're gonna lose again.
They're gonna chokity choke.
Gonna lose what? The World Series? You
Yeah.
fucking assholes.
You know, the Dodgers have got a new
No,
thing.
you act like they're not the second best team in fucking baseball. You act like they didn't go to the World Series.
Oh
2
my
years
God! And the Arizona Cardinals, or actually, you know what? The St. Louis Cardinals had some of the best lineup ever. They had Oral motherfucking Hershiser for a while, and they still choked on every single playoff they went to.
Kershaw is better than fucking Hershiser.
Okay, well, Oral Hershiser was legend at the time, so come on now.
And Kershaw's a legend right now.
Okay, but I'm saying they even had the legend, and it was still a failure. So I don't understand. Okay, fine, whatever.
You know that during the war, the guys who played for the Dodgers said they weren't allowed hand grenades.
No,
yeah,
I like
because
this.
they had no aim.
No, I like this. I'm arguing baseball with a woman. This is interesting.
that hasn't watched the sport in like 10 years. It's great.
Hey, Temma, if Mad Dodge threw a hand grenade at you, what would you do?
Throw it back at him?
I'd pull the pin
No,
up.
Batman doesn't really sleep under your
Yeah,
bed. at
pull the
night.
bed.
Go
Fucking
away.
Batman. I would have
Jesus Christ. Go away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's it. I don't sleep under her bed. I make notes under her bed.
Jesus Christ.
Batman, you're fucking creepy. You know that?
You creepy fucking Jordy.
What? Did I miss something again?
Probably.
That man's a fucking Jordy.
What's a fucking Geordie?
Actually, I'm
He
aware
is.
side. It's somebody who's born on the banks of the River Tyne, which I am not. But I've come from that area, so.
Okay. So it's a thing.
Quinn is not in here.
Yeah, I think Jensen is on hiatus. I haven't seen him at all today.
Well,
I have.
There's been a few missing people in his area. Yeah, they're cooked bones found scattered about, so I think he's on the run.
That is Temma.
Yeah. Hi, girls.
But no, come on, that is an interesting conversation, though. I did see that story where Nancy Pelosi said there is no
No,
point
that's
in trying
Dodge.
to impeach Trump. So she's finally just going to give it up.
There is no point in trying to impeach Trump because he's done nothing to be impeached for.
Well, see, they don't have the information they assumed they were going to find. The problem was that the Democrats are horribly good at projection, and they just assume that anybody who was ever possibly a Democrat or anything like that at any time are just as corrupt as they are because, they all roll in the same circles. Mm-hmm. And it's a terrible assumption on, some of these people in power's part. They fucked up, and now they have to deal with the consequences. And it's made the FBI look like the most incompetent, dangerous entity in America. Which
the FBI has gone back to when they were first created at this point, right? When they were just a bunch of fucking buffoons and desk jockeys that couldn't do shit, right? I mean, that's what they look like now.
The Federal Bureau of Idiots.
Yeah, no, and that's literally when they were created, that's what they looked like. Like, until they actually started taking down people like, Machine Gun Kelly, Pretty Boy Floyd, and, the like. Yeah, they were a fucking joke. They were a laughing stock, and now they're back to that. And that was over 50 years ago.
Even then, they had more respect than they do now, man.
They made films about them.
I mean, even in the even in the 30s, when they were, still kind of associated with the Pinkertons, they still had more respect than the FBI has right now, because there's half of America looking at the Federal Bureau of Investigation going, are these guys fucking traitors? Did we just have an investigative force for did we have a law, like the federal law enforcement agency try to fucking stage a coup? Did we just have that fucking really happen? And Americans are seeing.
Yeah, no, read those emails, Emma. That's what it fucking looks like, right?
I think it kind of does to a lot of Americans. Anybody who's read any of the information or has had any kind of, exposure to what the FBI was in the 80s and the 90s is going, what in the holy fuck am I seeing right now? Isn't this because we're dancing very close to the edge of sedition at this point.
Like, damn it, I think it's not just an American problem. I think it's across the Western world.
I think so. I think you are right.
Our law enforcement agencies have become infected by politics. Politics should
bureaucrats. Bureaucrats. It's when you have more. It's when you have. Sorry, I'm getting loud.
Yeah, but it's not just bureaucrats. It's political agendas. They should never play a part in the running of a law enforcement agency.
Oh, absolutely.
Police or something like the FBI, but unfortunately, it is.
I agree, but it's still fucking crazy.
This is one of the things I disagree with in America, where things like, the big, not the police chiefs, but the chiefs of police and like sheriffs are elected officials. They shouldn't be.
Well, okay.
Because.
I'm okay with electing your county sheriff. That's fine with me because you don't do that on the city level. When you have a city police department in America, they're not elected.
Yeah, the city police chief is no longer an elected position. Well, it is in some cities, but most cities, or a lot of cities, it's an appointed position.
That's a lot better, that.
Yeah. But with the county sheriff, I'm okay with electing an upstanding member of your community to be sheriff. You don't necessarily need law enforcement experience, I don't think, to do a good job in that role.
Absolutely. I disagree with both of you. I think you need to have the leadership of the police department needs to be publicly accountable.
Yeah.
And I think the most effective way to do that in a representative democracy like America is to have your local officials, such as your police chief, your sheriff, your magistrate, your railroad law enforcement, all those. I can't remember what the guy's called that inspects the railroads, and he's the guy that arrests people for doing it wrong. Those guys, I think they should all be publicly elected, because there has to be some way to create an accountability so that you don't have the current divide we have with law enforcement in America.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like even internal affairs in a big police force like LAPD, for instance.
That should have an elected official at the head.
It should, yeah, because, I mean, you have police officers policing police officers. It's an all-boys club, and I don't mean that as they're all men. I just mean they all work together. It's like a fraternity.
Well, and it's not that, and you can't even...
The ones who police the police.
Well, that's the thing. And you can't even say it's like, oh, they're going to be all corrupt or anything. It's just like any other echo chamber. You get them stuck in the echo chamber and they aren't going to realize how that the greater influence. So you need to have some way to break that echo chamber up. And I think the most effective way to do that is through elected officials, because anything else you end up with shit like Black Lives Matter and the thin blue line, where you have these two groups of people that are just, they're extremes. And it really breaks down the ability for civilians and law enforcement to get along. And it really fucks with the social fabric.
There's something else they should do. I mean, the police in the Western world, their initial training is in basic protection service, right?
Not anymore. No, it's strict law enforcement in America.
Yeah, it's law enforcement, but it's protection service. That's what it should be.
That's what it used to be.
Every so often, they should be retrained in that to keep that strong in them, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think one thing America needs to do, because I don't know how law enforcement is hired in Europe or even in the UK or anywhere else, but I do know that in America, we fast track military police into law enforcement. And I think that is probably the dumbest thing to do, because military police don't function the same way as civilian law enforcement.
And I have noticed that since the early 2000s, the American police force has become a lot more military.
And that's when they started fast tracking. And I understand why. It's cheaper for the police force, the police department, to hire somebody that already has law enforcement training. So they don't even have to walk through procedures and stuff like that. However, or they don't have to walk through as many procedures. However, there is a huge difference in the expectation between a military police officer and a civilian one. A civilian one isn't guaranteed cooperation from his or her suspect or person they are interacting with, because there are laws in America that say you don't have to politely do whatever the cop tells you to do.
See over here.
So, but I think we need to have a good gap between the two. And in the military, whatever a military police officer says goes, period. That's it. He says, sit down, you sit down, whatever. And we don't have a big enough, like, I don't think we give our veterans enough time to kind of get integrated fully back into being a regular old civilian before we're putting them in the position of law enforcement. So they still have a lot of that military mindset that isn't bad, but it doesn't work well with the civilian side.
It's very easy to keep in a police environment.
Yeah, it's difficult to keep. And I think when we have this lack of elected officials and we have this lack of public input into how law enforcement is run, like, who's policing the police? It's AI or IA, and IA is cops. So nobody's policing the police. Yeah. And it's leading to the problem we have in America, really. It's what I see as the problem.
This is why, and personally, I disagree with this, but a lot of people outside of America think that the United States is almost fully a police state now.
No.
I don't think it is, but...
Oh, no, nowhere near. Nowhere near.
Well, it is getting near. Now you're going to hear the libertarian come out in me. When you're taking people... real quick. When you're taking people like you, Batman, and you, Tama, were saying, directly from MP position and funneling them into a civilian law enforcement position, and then on top of that, you're giving them APCs and fully automatic weapons like they have in said military, you're kind of leaving them in the element, and they're gonna go overboard. The rules of engagement for a military officer and for a police officer, a civilian, are two different things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I've got to say, the United States does at the moment have an organization which you can draw a lot of parallels to the Gestapo.
Well, I know. No. Okay, so there are some aspects to the Patriot Act that do allow for some Gestapo-style behaviors.
Yeah.
We do have Guantanamo Bay. Yes, we have all those things. However, Gestapo behavior and actually a lot of the brutality and thug-like tactics that police have been trying to take lately are being foiled and undone simply because we have the right to film police officers doing whatever they are doing because they are public servants.
Yep.
So it's yes, we have some weird shit going on and we have some stuff we have to kick back against. But we are actually in a place where we have the ability to disinfect the corruption as we see it, especially with these highly militarized police officers. I don't see us being in a police state. I see us being in the position where we are about ready to enter into police state and people are bucking.
I think if the United States tried to become a police state, the
populace would uprise. Yeah. I think you would find more than half of the cops would go, "Are you fucking serious? You want me to go confiscate guns from people? Or no? Are you crazy? I grew up around cops, so like to me that's like a completely foreign idea. I don't know how many police officers would honestly want to take guns away from law-abiding citizens in America. I don't.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, Tema. When you take somebody out of the military where they are taught to follow orders and you put them immediately into a civilian police force, they're going to follow said orders.
But
you did have gun confiscation during Hurricane Katrina.
If they're a decent military officer or soldier or whatever,
that was the sheriff.
They will also question orders if they think the orders are suspect or wrong.
Well, real quick, that was the sheriff of the parish.
Yeah, that was the sheriff of the parish. That wasn't the National Guard that confiscated the guns.
Okay, all right. Thank you for correcting me there. That's why I wanted to highlight that. Like,
yeah, no,
if
that sheriff ended up getting fucking arrested later on for some other stuff, if memory serves. Like that sheriff was in big fucking trouble. Like, yeah, that sheriff was the problem. It wasn't the National Guard. No, I don't think the National Guard would have confiscated guns anyway.
Can I ask a question? Why hasn't Atema got a wrench?
Carl does.
Coral.
Yeah, no,
Not Coral.
I know.
All right.
here you go, Emma. Let me fix that.
Oh, thank you.
There you
I don't really care if I have a wrench or not, but thank you, man.
The main reason I
Thank
like
you, Batman.
is because you don't have a cap on how many times you can post in chat.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I talk a lot in chat.
No, I hate that shit too. It's like, you need to wait 45 seconds. I'm like, what? Fuck off. Like,
Yeah. Seems like you got a lot to say. Maybe you should calm down. Fuck you. Sorry.
Jensen told him to take away everybody's wrench.
That was
Okay,
a
well-
while ago.
I will not do anything with the wrench. We all know that. I'm a good girl. If somebody tries to dock somebody, I'll get rid of that. But other than
other
that, I
than
don't know.
ban Penoid, because, you know, you just got to ban Penoid. No, I'm kidding.
I
Right?
very
Yeah,
rarely
totally. I'm
use my
gonna ban Tom. I'd rather poke at Tom. I don't want to ban Tom. He's fun to bant with.
the most recent time I banned somebody was on one of Irate Bloodwings streams, and that was actually just as the stream was ending, and I put one a timeout.
Oh,
Oh,
That was just
Temma.
as the stream ended.
Here's
So
something funny. It's not necessarily news, but did you hear VidCon is giving Steve Shives a fucking grant to make videos?
yes,
well,
he's
like,
getting
some
a
of that
fucking.
thing-
He's getting Gibbs money. He's giving. I cried hard enough at somebody to make them feel sorry for me to give me money because
Yeah.
I'm such a pathetic male feminist that my wife left me.
Oh shit, his wife left him?
That's
Damn.
what the rumor was, that he was getting a divorce.
No, you mean she
Aw.
was getting a divorce.
Was she fucking his best friend? I can just see that happen. I'm
She's
sorry.
fucking the entire neighborhood.
Yeah, she was fucking that teddy bear. I forgot that's his only friend.
No.
That's what I was just thinking.
Because let's face it, to Shivesy, her cheating means that he's not allowed in the bedroom when she's doing her boyfriend.
Oh, Jesus, man. I'm sorry. I couldn't stay married to a guy that cried that much. Like that. I couldn't. I don't know if I could have relations with a man after he did some of the cry kind of stuff that Shibes has done on camera.
Yeah, no.
Oh my God.
I could
Yeah,
have
can you imagine
Alyssa Milano says that she has a mental illness, and that's why she is a trans person, a person of color, an immigrant, a lesbian, a gay man, a disabled person,
Yes.
and everything else.
So she finally admitted that liberalism is a mental disorder. Congratulations, Alyssa. You've caught up with the rest of us.
yeah. Yeah, but no, and like with Steve Shives, like, could you imagine him in real life if he cries that much on camera? I think my wife has seen me cry twice ever. And we've been together over 7 years, and
There's
she
a
saw me
difference.
cry because my fucking best friend committed suicide.
Okay,
Like,
and there's
that's
a
the
difference.
only time.
There's a difference between an intense moment of emotion between you and your spouse, or a guy and another guy, and stuff like that, and crying like a soy-filled bitch on a camera to show your wife how much you care about whammons. Okay, there's a total fucking difference. And what Steve Shives did was the equivalent of, what was her name? Fucking the girl with the crouch shit. She went on the fucking stream and she cried. And it made me fucking angry. God, it wasn't some dumb American. It was the other one. Just a girl?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember her.
And she did that useless crying. And I'm like, why the fuck are you crying? I want to slap you right now. Holy shit. I would have the same response to Steve Shives doing that. And if that were my husband, I don't know if I could be like, you know what I mean? Like, because he did it on fucking camera.
I didn't even cry when my dad died. And when my dad died, I felt like my guts had been wrenched out.
No, okay, I think it's you should have cried at some point, Batman. But there's probably you are definitely a stoic. But
Yes, I am.
and okay, and I appreciate that. My husband is rather stoic as well. But there's a limit to how much touchy-feely a guy can get before it starts deterring from the overall masculinity he needs to be attractive to creatures filled with estrogen. It just there's a certain amount that it just there's a limit.
Yeah, well, I mean, men are meant to be men, right?
Yeah.
Not fucking cry every time they stub their goddamn toe.
Yeah, on average, when it comes to grief, on average, I'm saying, men tend to deal with grief better and quicker than women. On average, I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't.
It's generally because.
Do you think biologically,
hold on, let me finish. Historically, biologically, I don't think men have ever had the time to indulge in grief the way women have.
Well, I think it's because you guys process things differently.
That as well.
Well,
do you think we deal with it better, Batman, or do you think we gloss over it and move on?
I don't gloss over it. No. I dealt with my grief very quickly and very privately and very intensely.
Well, yeah, no, like, okay, like when my friend committed suicide, I was in denial at first. I was like, oh my God, did he get murdered? Like, there's no way he could have did this to himself. Mm-hmm. And then I came to grips with it, and I just didn't dwell on it and think about it all the time, and I moved on. That was kind of the way I worked through it. Is that glossing over it? Or is that just, the regular?
Oh, that's how you deal with it.
I think it's because men and women have different emotional valuation with how their brains work. Basically, it's women have a lot more going on in the subconscious than the conscious. Men have a lot more going on in the conscious than the subconscious. At least explained through electrical impulses as I understand them. I wish MC was here. He could probably explain it better than I could.
Well, he said he'd be back.
Yeah.
But then again, so did Jesus. And where the fuck's that bastard at?
Yeah, he just didn't say when.
Yeah.
That's where he screwed up. No, Jesus just forgot to get directions.
Oh, God,
left at Albuquerque.
No, I think Jesus actually did come back, but he wasn't what he was doing and got hit by a greyhound.
Jesus is back, and it's Tucker Carlson. We already figured that out over here.
That was good, man.
Yeah, it's a rare one for you, Mad.
Hey, every once in a while I score one in my corner. But no, I mean, it is interesting though the way men and women process grief in general, because it is very different.
Yes, it is.
And yeah, Tema, like, you're absolutely correct. I mean, if your husband was a sniveling little bitch, he wouldn't be your husband.
No,
right?
No, he wouldn't. He would. I can't think of many women that really enjoy that kind of behavior. I mean, maybe my twisted, sick mother.
One thing I've noticed about guys like that when it comes to women is, now on average, a woman will be cruel or kind to a guy depending on whether she likes him. But guys like that seem to bring out the absolute worst in women.
Oh, well, because because you're basically just trying to supplicate instead of partner with. Like it's I don't know how to describe it. It's very passive behavior. It's like,
I think it boils down to group survival as well. Men like that, the weak sniveling guy, is going to be a drag on the group, isn't he? He's going to be a detriment to the group. So instinctively, you're trying to push him away out beyond the campfire where he's going to get killed.
Well, no, and like Steven Crowder had said something about this just yesterday. I think I watched the video, and he was talking about toxic masculinity, and what toxic masculinity is he was at the vet with his dog, right? And there was a 15-year-old girl there who had to put her dog down, and she is just in tears and flipping out, right? And he felt bad. He had empathy for her. Like, okay, I hate to see women cry, personally. I really fucking hate it. And, like, that doesn't make me cry. It makes me want to fucking hug them and, you know, make things better.
Effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what Steven Crowder was saying. Like, you know, he felt like he wanted to cry, but instead he made her laugh for a second and then, you know, left. And then according to him, he cried, you know, in the car with, it was just him and his dad.
Yeah, but he was,
But didn't he just
talking
lose
about.
Hopper? Did he just lose Hopper? Or is he
No,
losing Hopper?
He's losing Hopper because Hopper is dying of cancer.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know what the secondary was on the
So yeah.
diagnosis.
But he just wanted to make her laugh and be strong for her, and then he went and dealt with his emotions later. That, I think that basically is how most of us men are.
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, it is.
It's kind of a biological progression, though. You have to look at how men have been the ones that are out doing the hunting and the building and the working and the protecting. And the dying. I mean, the things that, one, you guys have been exposed to death in a different way than women have. Women have dealt with slow withering death more often, like death or like a disease and aging and, you know, children and stuff like that. And men have had to see violent death from hunting and war and battle and stuff like that. So there is a difference in just over the eons what you guys have been genetically programmed to deal with and what women have genetically been programmed to deal with. Yeah. There is that fact. I think it's also because in general, throughout much of history, men did things in small groups with low amounts of communication, where women did things in small groups with high amounts of communication and a lot of physical moving around.
Do you know why that is? I think why women tend to talk more than men in any given situation.
Because of that.
It's because of the hunter-gatherer thing. I mean, when you get a group of women out gathering, with their children, they talk a lot.
Oh yeah, they chatter, they talk to their kids. Yeah, we're busy all the time. Talk. That kind of noise, that kind of activity, to a predator signals confidence and being unafraid, and that will make most predators stay clear of that group. It's a good survival tactic, but unfortunately, if you get a woman, from a hunter-gatherer society who's never been hunting, and take her out hunting with the men, she's going to scare all the game away. Yeah.
Well, no, and there's something to the whole fact where I could sit down with my buddy and go fishing, and we'll just sit there with our, you know, line out in the water and a beer, and we don't even necessarily have to talk, but we're still hanging out. You know what I mean?
Fishing is fun. Don't mess with the fishing.
Fishing. I love fishing.
I prefer when I go fishing. I prefer taking dynamite with me.
That's cheating.
It's more fun.
But you know what I mean? There's an idea where men can just be silent but still be hanging out together, where women have to just be, no offense, but working the whole time. You know what I mean?
I can't see you being quiet. I'm sorry. I talk a lot. I really do. I know I do. But I cannot see I cannot see Dodge at all being quiet.
I can. Honestly, I can see Dodge being sitting there on the bank with the the fishing rod and his friend being quiet. I'm maybe seeing pass a beer.
I actually do most of my talking online. I don't talk that much in real life unless I'm
pretty much the same.
Educating people or something. I like
educating midgets and online. This is where I do all my talking.
Yeah. By the end of the day, though, I don't want to make another sound. Like, I'm so done because I've had to repeat, I don't know, pick that up 19 times or, don't hit your sister. Or I've had, I'd like...
Go clean your room.
Yeah, or I've had to have the stupidest conversation about a character from fucking Undertale. Or Team Fortress 2. I'm like, really? Really? I need to hear about Team Fortress 2 constantly?
Yes, you do.
I need to have an argument about Team Fortress 2. Or who's allowed to click on things from somebody else's liked list on fucking YouTube? Are you serious? I need to have a 30-minute argument about who gets to click on what on fucking YouTube. Are you serious?
I feel bad for you. Damn.
Stop pulling your sister's hair.
Oh my God, she
Get
pulled
out
her
of-
hair. No, my littlest pulled my middle child's hair so hard yesterday that the middle child was carrying a printer and dropped the printer and it flew across the room. Like she pulled hair out.
Ow. My
and
cousin
then
has often said that she is putting pleased she never had daughters because sons are hard to raise,
Fucking mean.
but daughters are whiny. Yeah, little girls are whiny, clingy, manipulative, evil little bitches.
They're mean. They're mean to each other. They don't come to
daughters
you
are mean.
They're mean. Sisters are mean to each other. I'm glad I'm almost 20 years older than my sister.
I can remember what friend sisters were like. No brother likes his sister. Not until they've left the home.
Whatever. They're not manipulative. My little princess is perfect.
Nice one.
Dodge, didn't you just say that your daughter recently started her period and that you don't want the
Thank
or
God.
you don't
I'm
you
my
don't
mom's speakers, not headphones. My daughter's like, "Hey, like, you guys are live."
and you don't like the fact that her and your wife are already synced up?
I remember.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that? Like, you women are fucking weird. All right.
I can remember a friend of mine telling me about his daughter. Says when she started getting to puberty, whenever she wanted something, she would try and flirt with him, and he just had to put her in her place because you do not do that with your father. I mean, seriously, that's what girls can be like. They will use any trick. Yeah, and I'm talking girls, not women. But girls will use any trick in the book they can think of to get what they want.
No, not all.
Well, not all, no. I mean, yeah, I'm talking a generalization, but yeah, in general.
Well, okay, you've got to understand. Okay, so what are the skills that females have learned over time, and what are the skills that men have learned over time? Okay, so men have had competition with each other, right? They've had where they've had to have
revolution.
Yeah, well, they've had to have the outward confrontation with each other to prove bestness for mating and all those things. Women have been the ones that get to pick, but we have less physical strength, so we have to work with people. We can't be direcely confrontational.
Or work people against each other. Yeah.
Well, but that's how we have to fight.
That's something my history teacher used to tell us. Yeah, throughout history, men have had overt power. Women have had covert power.
Exactly.
Oh, yes.
So our interactions,
We are very manipulative.
yes, women, our competition is covert with each other. It's silent. It's not something we come out like. We don't go to fisticuffs unless there's like a serious territorial dispute going on. Women, it's very covert, and that's how we work with everybody because that's how we're physiologically built to. I've never understood how we're supposed to not be what we are. I can be as direct as I want to be. That doesn't mean I'm not going to use subtle influence over physical brute strength. I don't have the physical brute strength to do that. I can't do it that way.
Yeah, you're right.
So what you're saying, though, to borrow a quote from memes. So what you're saying is basically women have manipulated the whole political system from the very beginning, and there is no such thing as patriarchy.
Yes,
because the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, Mad.
Yeah. Which is why, do you remember when that BBC thing came out where they were saying, men are raised to hate women? Well, considering that, especially nowadays in the West, until a boy becomes an adult, leaves home, 90% of the influences upon him are female.
Well, that's only if there's not a father in the house.
Even if there's a father in the house, because most of the time the father's not there often enough because he's at work.
That's not true.
Right, from my experience of growing up, that's the way it was. The
father is the overall arbitrator of justice, but it's the mother who rules the house. It's always been that way.
Yes, because of hunting and gathering. I mean, since the days of the caves, women give birth. We are physically more vulnerable after giving birth for a good chunk of time. We can't do that kind of run out and go hunt right away thing, or our internal organs will literally fall the fuck out of our bodies. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that when I was a kid, when my dad was in the army, there'd be times during the back end of his service, when we moved back up here, me dad would be away for months on end. There was only my mother looking after us, and I got a lot more leeway than when my dad was there, because when my dad was there, my mother used my father as a weapon.
Mm.
And from what I've seen, that's true of every other kid that I used to know.
Well, no, that's 90% true. Like, okay, I lit the carpet on fire when I was 8 years old. You know what my mom did? You know what my mom did?
Oh, wait till your father gets home.
Yeah, wait till dad comes home, and then I got my ass whipped with a goddamn belt.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. It's the physical force aspect.
Yeah,
she didn't have the physical force necessary to drive that lesson home for whatever reason, or she felt she didn't have that power in that situation. So she used what she felt was the power that was correct for the situation. That's all. I know it sounds shitty and it's but it's really it has to do with physical strength and mental blocks.
Well, no, and I think it's a perfectly healthy way to go about it. Honestly, I really do. The man is the overall, dispenser of justice, but the woman is the one ruling the household on a day-to-day, minute-to-minute basis.
Yep.
Oh yes, we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
and you best believe that the husband listens to the wife. Yeah. All right,
especially when you're sick.
Well, in most households, the wife controls the purse strings.
Oh no, I would never do that by myself. No, that is not something I would ever do by myself.
That's a traditional thing, though. I mean, in most households, I would say. It
wasn't
the case.
Batman, you have a good point, Batman. Because my wife does the grocery shopping. My wife gets the money orders for rent, electric, all that. Yeah.
Oh no, I do pay all the bills. I do. Well, okay, no, he does like insurance and something else, and then I do the rest of the bills. But it's just because I'm home.
Yeah, it's a time on a joke in British comedy. The husband comes home from work and he opens the front door, steps in, and gets whacked over the back of the head by the wife, who then takes his wage packet off him.
Oh, yeah, no, no,
yeah, no.
No, but if I'm going to make a purchase of anything outside of general household goods, I will have a conversation with my husband before I do that. I'm not the one putting my labor out there and expecting something for it. I'm doing it here.
That's called being married, though, Tema. I mean, like my wife, before she bought the blazer, like she talked to me about it. It was $2,000. Yeah, she fucking talked to her husband. Damn right she did. Or else there would have been a big fucking fight. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, it's also, I don't know if he has plans. It does sound very Italian, Batman. I was just reading Ajax said in Korea, woman is in charge of the family finances. Grandmother rules the family like a dictator. Her word is final. That sounds like Italian too. That's
story my grandmother told me once about when she was a little girl. She was born in like 1895, I believe. And she said that when the miners used to come home from work on a night, a lot of them would go straight from the mine to the pub. And about an hour later, because they weren't home for the teas,
a whole bunch of wives show up.
A whole bunch of wives would go to the pubs and drag these big, strong, strapping guys out by the ear.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We call that the power of the pussy.
And yet the feminists would have you believe that throughout history, women have been oppressed.
Now,
fuck no.
Now, not throughout history. Not throughout history. There have been a few times when women have been oppressed or certain cultures, but not throughout history.
Feminists would have you believe. But feminists would also have you believe that women are superior to men in every way. Now,
and they're complementary.
If that's the case, if women are superior to men in every way, yet have been oppressed throughout history, does that mean that women are also incredibly lazy?
Well,
This is
see,
what
I've never understood the better the how can either gender or sex be better? They're complementary. You can't have a functioning species without both. So
No,
how
you
is
can't.
one superior or inferior to the other? They are both essentially important to have that occur. I don't understand.
I agree with you entirely.
Well, no, and that's the thing. Nowadays they're trying to not make the sexes complementary to each other. They're trying to divide us.
Uniform. They're trying to make them interchangeable. It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this TED talk recently on YouTube, and it was about gender and sex. And the upshot of it was, and this is from science. Yeah, there are as many genders as there are physical sexes. 2.
Well, no, and that's all ridiculous, and it's just muddying the water. Really, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's kind of like saying men can have periods too. No, they can't.
Well, they're going to call it chest feeding instead of breastfeeding. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, and because
What?
an extreme minority of men can lactate, which is extremely rare. Men can breastfeed as well.
It's really rare and usually a sign of the man having breast cancer.
Yeah, I was going to say that's usually a sign of endocrine or breast cancer, or the endocrine system cancer. Okay, guys, I think my time on the stream and talking to other people is over. It sounds like World War II 1487 of this week has broken out in my living room. So.
Oh no, we've hit the 2-hour mark anyway, so we're gonna wrap it up. Tema, you want to shout out your channel before you go?
Yeah, my name is Tema the Hun. You can find me on Tema the Hun or whatever my channel fucking name is right now. I totally can remember. You can find me on Twitter, Gab, Minds, fucking everywhere. Just don't expect me to answer right now because you just heard why. Look for me to be doing more edited content and OBS-based streams here and gaming streams because I got the PC for it now. And bitches, I bought Cuphead. So, yeah.
Nice. And you're also over with Irate on Fridays.
Oh,
right?
that's right. I every Friday night, we have the Cream stream at 7 p.m. East or Pacific at 10 p.m. Eastern and all the numbers in between. Fridays, we laugh at the news, and I say stupid shit, and people laugh at me.
Yeah, well, and my power's back on. So get me back on the Cream stream, damn it. I was supposed to be on there last week or the week before, but, power was out.
But, dude, we were all sick and stuff, too. What were you saying, Sharadi?
Oh, she rants better than MC rants.
Oh, yeah, if I get on a good
one. Lies. Nobody beats MC. He's like Tucker Carlson. He's Jesus.
Dude, MC said he had shit to learn from me, so don't take it up with me.
Oh, fair enough. All right. Thank you, Tema. Sharardi, are you still doing story time over on your channel? What's going on over there?
I am. I've been busy with my fucking kids.
Batman, you don't do anything, right?
I'm starting a channel actually dedicated to hatred of the Dodgers.
Nice. I'll totally downvote every one of your videos.
Tell the truth, you become a lifetime subscriber.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. This has been the Redeye stream. I don't know. I might not take tomorrow off because, well, I had pretty much a whole month off. So we might be back after tomorrow. Good night, good luck, and don't go to fucking France without a yellow vest. We're out of here. Peace.